Hey gamers, did you guys know that Silksong is finally coming out in 2025? Yep, mark your calendars. September 4th, 2025. I'm pretty sure all of you Metroidvania fans out there are already hyped for it, so in this video, I'm gonna share 15 of the best Metroidvania games you can play to warm up before diving into Silksong. Even if you've never really been into the Metroidvania genre before, I'm pretty sure after trying these out, you're gonna fall in love with it. Before we go into the list, I want to tell you about my favorite place to buy games, and that's Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is an awesome site for grabbing games at great prices. Not only they always have fantastic discounts, but also they running giveaways you won't want to miss. Seriously, these deals are hard to beat. Where else are you gonna find prices this good? Why pay full price when you can grab the same game for way less, right? Yeah, you can shop for games on all kinds of platforms, like PC, PS5, Xbox, and a Nintendo Switch. No worries, it's 100% legit, fast, and super easy to use, and their support team is available 24/7. So what are you waiting for? Go check out your favorite games by using the link in the description below and start saving your cash with Instant Gaming. And by using my link, you're not just getting awesome deals, but also supporting this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. Lone Fungus might be one of the best Metroidvanias I've played recently, and the fact that it was made by a single developer makes its polish even more impressive. While the obvious comparison is Hollow Knight, the two have very different philosophies. Hollow Knight emphasizes challenge through trial and error, heavy backtracking, and a punishing early game. Lone Fungus, by contrast, focuses on momentum and player convenience, creating a smoother and more accessible experience without losing depth, which keeps things challenging without killing the fun. The game throws a ton of abilities, powers, and tools your way early on, and it's incredibly fun chaining them together to move smoothly through rooms. Voidroot is a decent Metroidvania, and there can never be enough good Metroidvanias, but it is probably no masterpiece. The combat system focuses on melee attacks, side, upward, downward, with a satisfying bounce mechanic. Jumping and then striking enemies below feels smooth and responsive, and unlocking movement abilities is the most rewarding moment because it instantly opens up new routes and hidden secrets, and the game's duration is relatively short if you rush through it, but if you enjoy the die retry loop, exploration, and trying out every possible route, your playtime can easily exceed 15 hours. Thankyou the Robot is baby's first Metroidvania, not that it's bad by any means, but it is not challenging. It's fun and the characters are cute. The story is solid, with a few neat twists to throw your way as you work out more and more secrets. Even without that though, it's a compelling little world to explore and map out. The combat is not as flashy as other Metroidvania, but it's sufficient enough for the game to be fun. The boss design is good and not amazing, but there's enough variability to make it enjoyable and pose a decent challenge. Overall, this game's a hidden gem, very similar to Hollow Knight so far, but it has its own robotic charm. Also, when you heal, you crank that little rod. Islets is a Metroidvania game similar to Hollow Knight, but with happy vibe. The gameplay is perfect, movement is expertly designed, and action is fun. Bosses were great too. It's a beautifully compact game. It checks all the boxes I want from a Metroidvania while delivering the formula with a good dose of humor and some novel mechanics. The cloud shot arrow in particular is something I've never seen before, and I quite liked how it expanded the platforming experience. The game is so cute, characters are funny, and perfect for chilling without having the stress of dying every 2 steps. Sometimes we just all need a fun and chilled game to relax, and Islets is exactly that. Eterna Noctis is a Metroidvania game that many people might not enjoy since it's quite difficult, especially when it comes to the platforming. This is a hard game. Platforming is difficult, combat is scary, and the bosses are an absolute treat. Quick reflexes are required. The game is also huge. So far it seems bigger than Hollow Knight. There is an endgame with tough optional super bosses and challenges. There are tons of secrets, hidden collectibles, and lore bits. So if you're the kind of player who loves a serious challenge like Hollow Knight, grime, Death's Gambit Afterlife, then this game will be right up your alley. Path of the Teal Lotus is a compact Hollow Knight-inspired experience that gets the fundamentals just right, with smooth and responsive controls alongside charming backgrounds and characters. The gameplay leans a lot on pogoing off enemies and props, whether you're platforming or fighting. It feels super satisfying to chain a long sequence without ever touching the ground, or to keep bouncing on a boss while dodging its attacks. I highly recommend this game to lovers of the genre. It has spectacular music and graphics. Not only is it very fun, but even in the early hours of the game, you can also find the difficulty that in other similar games maybe is missing. Nine Years of Shadows is an amazing game. It has the classic Castlevania feel, but with its own unique twist. The story flows really nicely, the combat is super active and fun, and the difficulty actually keeps you on your toes. Honestly, the music sets the mood perfectly, and the movement in the game feels so smooth. The art and cutscene animations are awesome, every character portrait is unique, and the pixel art is just gorgeous. Plus, there are so many memorable bosses, I didn't realize at first how important those edges are for gameplay. Different armor sets actually have different effects. Function follows form here, and the form is seriously beautiful. Moonscars is a Metroidvania with heavy Souls-like elements. Yes, the game is heavy on the Souls-like portion in every aspect. I enjoyed it, but it won't please to everyone. The controls feels good, which could have led to satisfying combat if the enemies were a bit more interesting. Aside from bosses, most enemies literally have a single move or combo, so once you learn the parry timing, it's basically over for them. Compared to Metroidvania titles like Hollow Knight, Grime, or even Blasphemous, this game's scope is quite small. There are only a handful of areas, a few bosses, and limited ways to build your character. Afterimage is an action RPG, of course, and the main character, Renesse, levels up upon accruing sufficient experience, which grants you talent points that can be spent on a skill tree. These will give your stats a buff as well as teach you new abilities for specific weapons. I'm fairly satisfied with all of this. Afterimage is a beautiful Castlevania-inspired Metroidvania that drags on longer than it should. Don't expect to finish it over a weekend, be prepared to sink 25 plus hours into it. If you take your time, it's a good game with multiple endings and plenty of hidden content, but if you rush through, it can get frustrating fast. I wouldn't recommend this as your first Metroidvania game. Death's Gambit is an action platformer heavily inspired by the Dark Souls series, and this game takes stamina very seriously. It is slow to regenerate, and attacks use up a large amount to perform. I don't know whether this is intended design or not, but what I can say is that if you're someone whose instinct is to mash the attack or the dodge button, you will struggle with this game. The bosses are all unique with multiple attack phases. Dying rewards you with shards based on your progress, making you stronger for your next try. After beating a boss, you can rematch a harder, heroic version for better rewards. Definitely a little hidden gem in the mountain of indie Metroidvanias.
I will grant you a swift death.
Ender Magnolia is a clear evolution in gameplay. Tighter combat, more build variety, and smoother movement. This is Magnolia's strongest suit. Everything feels more refined, movement is snappier, combos and build options give you meaningful choices, and there are fewer mechanics that feel half-baked. If you enjoyed experimenting with many playstyles and Lily's Magnolia rewards that even more, you won't feel stuck into a single correct build. Boss design and encounter pacing often lean into this improved combat, giving a satisfying mechanical peak. What Magnolia gains in systems, it sometimes loses in personality, but when the combat clicks, the game truly shines. Blasphemous 2, I think is more of a Metroidvania focus on new abilities to unlock new areas, more platforming, larger interconnected map. The combat in Blasphemous 2 is also quite a bit different. With all of the mobility upgrades, it's much faster and in my opinion easier. Instead of needing to learn timings to parry like the first game, you can instead reliably dodge almost all attacks in the game. And in here you have 3 weapons that you can use. They all have separate upgrade skill trees, and by the end of the game I was able to max 2 of them out. You can swap between the weapons at any time in combat, which is fun when you prefer one or the other against a specific enemy. Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition is a beautiful and tightly designed Metroidvania platformer that is a joy to play. The platforming in Ori is incredibly smooth and never frustrating. What makes it unique is its energy system. You spend this energy to create your own save point anywhere in the world. You can also use it to break walls. This forces you to constantly choose what will you do. And for me, the art, music, and atmosphere are stunning, and the gameplay itself strikes a great balance between precision platforming and light combat. The game is a fantastic experience start to finish, and I'd recommend it to anyone who is a fan of the genre. The Lost Crown is a game that clearly studied the best of the best in the genre, particularly Hollow Knight and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's evident that the developers took a deep dive into what made these games successful and then adapted those elements into their own style. The combat is fast-paced and responsive, allowing you to execute a variety of attacks, combos, and special moves with precision. The controls are tight and the characters' movements feel natural and impactful, which is essential for keeping battles engaging and satisfying. I am absolutely loving this Metroidvania game, and I hope Ubisoft makes more games of this high quality. And the number 1, we have Nine Souls, a delightful indie action platformer, 2D style, inspired by Sekiro and Hollow Knight. Some people might find it tough, but I'm a big fan of action games, so I love this one. Even though Nine Souls didn't make the Game Awards 2024 nominations, it's actually a masterpiece overall. With its art, music, and gameplay, the elements mentioned above complement each other well, creating a sense of being transported to the Xia dynasty. If you enjoy challenging games with engaging boss fights and rich storytelling referencing Chinese mythology, as well as protagonists driven by a thirst for revenge, you should play this game now. And that's it, the list of the best Metroidvania games to play before Hollow Knight Silksong drops. Got a hidden gem I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or discovered a new title to add to your collection, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss future content. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.